Hello everyone. Today's topic is still about sentiment analysis, and I will introduce this paper today. Analysis of political discourse on Twitter in the context of the 2016 U.S. presidential elections. And I will introduce this paper from these 5 aspects. So firstly, introduction. Secondly, literature review. And thirdly, data and methods. Next, results and discussion. And the last one, conclusion. Firstly, I start with the introduction part. So firstly is about the background of this paper. It introduces something like the social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, which have enabled people to not only use the platform for interaction with one another, but also to read and share the news, discuss important events, and engage in political discussions. And I think most of us have used this kind of social media in Korea or in China, and we are familiar with this kind of platform. And this rich medium of communication presented by social media has been recognized by politicians and political parties globally. And it also allows government institutions to have candid communication with their citizens, potentially increasing openness and transparency into the working of their organizations. So social media presents an exciting avenue of opportunity for politicians, campaigners, and political activists to not only broadcast their message, but also to engage in dialogue with the proponents of competing political ideas and ideologies. Some information of social media, and the study has focused on 3 aspects. Firstly, topic and sentiment analysis of Twitter data site. Secondly, sentiment and impact analysis of tweets by the 2 presidential candidates. And thirdly, analysis of social media users' behavior. Next part, literature review. In this part, we will introduce 2 things: function of social media and hypothesis. This paper was written by American researchers, so the focus is on the function of Twitter. But I think the social media in different countries, even if the social media is different, they may have the similar function. And firstly, this provides a quick and cost-effective platform to political actors and state institutions to communicate quickly and directly with the public. And next, Twitter sentiment analysis is also used in vast array of areas related to governments and public trust, ranging from predicting resentment against government policies to predicting general election results. We listed some related studies here from this paper. Usage of Twitter during the campaign cycle of 28 in USA by Barack Obama generated interest in understanding Twitter's role in political campaigns. Similar research was also conducted in analyzing Twitter activity of U.S. Congress members during the election campaigns. Studies show that Congress members frequently posted information on Twitter regarding their political positions on various issues, along with issues relating with their constituencies. other studies. Some studies have looked at how the information spreads on social networks and what role sentiment plays in diffusion. Most agree that sentiment does play an important role in information diffusion on Twitter. Some have gone as far as saying that there exists a positivity bias in information spread and that positive tweets are retweeted more and reach a wider audience than negative tweets. Information that there are already some research on the function of social media, such as Twitter. Thesis of this research. First one, frequency of popular terms in Twitter discussions and sentiment of Twitter messages are correlated with real-world events of significance and with public opinions of the citizens regarding the elections. And second one, sentiment of messages by political candidates during the election campaign has an impact on the sentiment of the overall political discourse taking place on Twitter. In Hypothesis 3, majority of users commenting on the elections were not creating new content in form of original tweet, nor were they engaging interactive discussions with one another, but were rather acting passively, rebroadcasting the already available information and ideas with other people in their work. So the researchers has designed their research based on these three hypotheses. Part 3, methodology, and in this part, data science and sentiment analysis are introduced. Data is the data collection part. The authors introduced Twitter Streaming API for data collection in this part, and if you are interested in it and want to know how it works, you could click on this website and to know how it works and how they get the data. The streaming API allows near real-time access to global stream of Twitter data, and data were collected for a total of 21 days starting from 29th of October 2016 and ending on 18th of November 2016, and gathered 10 days of data prior to the election day and 10 days of post-election data. And in total, a lot of numbers of tweets were used for this study. And in this case, we use the keywords Trump, Clinton, and election 2016 to download tweets. That means they will collect the tweet which content is complete Trump, Clinton, and election. Extracted metadata details such as time and date, and this ID, creator ID, and the user name, location. And they also gathered all tweets posted by Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump for 10 days prior to the voting day. Introduce sentiment analysis again. Once the data was cleaned and relevant tweet fields were extracted, or text messages were analyzed and then tagged with sentiment scores using SentiStress. It is a freely available software that has been used to perform sentiment analysis in various studies utilizing Twitter data. One of the advantages of using SentiStress is that it was developed especially to capture sentiment of short informal texts. And studies conducted on short text have shown this tool to be able to capture positive sentiment with 60% accuracy and negative sentiment with about 72 accuracy. And you could search sentence strands on Google and download it to have a try. In part 4, results and discussion, we have introduced 3 hypotheses, and this part will be introduced based on the 3 hypotheses. So there are 3 aspects: topic and sentiment analysis of Twitter messages, and sentiment and impact analysis of candidate Twitter messages, and analysis of user behavior. Firstly, we look at this picture. 3 lines represent Clinton, Trump, and overall. The average daily sentiment was negative for all 21 days of messages, and not only was it negative overall, but also for both candidates. And it shows the average daily sentiment of all tweets in the database, along with the average daily sentiment of tweets containing the terms of Clinton or Trump. Coincides accurately with the ground reality. The campaign of both presidential candidates has been declared as one of the most active in the history of U.S. presidential elections. The bitter nature of this negative campaign is reflected in the user tweets made during this period regarding both candidates and the elections in general. Our sentiment was negative for all these. The number of neutral tweets in the database was higher than the negative and positive tweets. Not neutral tweets have the zero assigned sentiment score, and thus have little effect on the daily average sentiment value. As we have shown before, we could know that the sentiment analysis of tweets could somewhat reflect the attitudes of the Twitter users. Scores might indicate the bitter nature of the political campaign associated with election 2016. The negative score might also be due to the fact that almost 90% of tweets in our dataset contain either or both candidate names, and the negative sentiment does indicate strong negative feeling exhibited toward these 2 candidates by their opponent. Now here, this part is about candidate popularity. The Table 2 is post predictions before election day, and we could look at this table and to say the prediction before election day. The conclusion of the previous table. Prior to the elections, most polls conducted by various organizations showed Hillary Clinton leading Donald Trump. This picture here we could say Clinton. It is really higher than the number of Trump, 49, 48, 46. Second conclusion, in the subsequent sentiment analysis of data, it shows that Donald Trump was leading Hillary Clinton. Picture here, and the red line represents Trump, and the blue line represents Clinton. It is an overview that Trump is leading. Was contrary to the majority of the pre-election polls predicting a Hillary Clinton victory. This result does reflect the general public opinion of Donald Trump was eventual victory in the election's performing surprisingly better than the polls had indicated.